Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to Fearless Generations with Terry Sayer and Kelly Fox.
Hello, and welcome to Fearless Generations, 12 Steps to Freedom. This is Kelly Fox, and we are on step 10, which is trust. Tonight we're going to be talking about choice. So let's get to it. Please welcome my beautiful co-host, Terry Sayer. How are you doing tonight, Terry?
I'm doing great. I'm really happy to be here. Looking forward to the discussion.
Good. Me too. So our guest coach tonight we have had on the show before, so please welcome back Clara E Minor.
Welcome.
Hello. I'm here.
Hello. Thank you for coming back.
Oh, glad to be back. Very, very, very happy to be invited again and to be on your show.
Good. We're glad. And so please remind the audience who it is you get to serve and what it is you get to do.
My name is Clara E Minor, and I own a studio in Santa Cruz, California, Minor Son Self-Defense and Fitness, and I help women to empower themselves and feel great about their bodies, fantastic in their bodies, and be able to make their own choices regardless of pressure from others, which gives them the freedom to make choice in all aspects of their lives.
Yeah, love that. So when you think about trust, what comes to mind for you?
Body language usually is the first thing, because we all, in spite of what people might think, we all read body language all the time. We read each other's body language. Somebody will say something and, well, that's not what she really meant. Or he didn't really mean that. Couldn't you tell by the sound of his voice or just the body language that gives away whether we're telling the truth or not? It's a really good tool to learn in terms of understanding what the person in front of you is really getting for, what they're going for, what they're trying to get from you, and can you really trust them?
Yeah.
And I never thought about that before. That's really interesting.
Yeah, it's a skill. You can develop it more and more, but it's a skill that we all know. Even children know it. You tell them something, and they know that you really don't mean that. And it all comes from your body language and your tone of voice and how you say it, how your eyes shift, how your eyes look at them. And eyes shifting are a big one. If somebody's talking to you and their eyes are constantly shifting, I don't trust them. There's something that's going on there that they're trying to hide. And it's just something that's developed over the years.
Yeah, when I'm talking to someone and they don't look at me, they're looking over my head or they're looking around me at other people. I've always read that. I mean, I may jump to some conclusions, but to me that is, you're not listening to me, and I really don't want to waste my time with you.
Yes. There's a couple of things with that. Sometimes when people don't look at you, it's because you are a little bit exuding more power than they can handle, and they are afraid. They're basically afraid, so they're looking around and not looking at you. And the other one is that they're just not wanting to look at you because they're being deceptive in one way or another, and they don't want you to see the deception, because we will see it through people's eyes. And so they hide it. They try to hide it by shifting and looking away. But you'll always also see it in the body language. You'll see what like the shoulders are a big one, the neck and the shoulder area, whether they tighten it, whether they shrug, whether they move back, whether they move in. It just all, if you watch it very carefully. I watch this all the time. Have you guys seen the car shield commercials with the woman who calls everybody darlings and about getting your insurance, getting your car insured with Car Shield? The way that she moves her body is very, very seductive. It's very sick. And if you watch it, it's real subtle body movements that she's making. But it's all very seductive, and there's a purpose behind that.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's interesting. Wow. So yes, body language definitely is a big part of trust.
Yeah, I was a teacher for 30 years, and I took some coursework with a gentleman who really perfected how to move, and this was in your teaching. So it's like, how do you move to get attention? How, if you say something that's really, you've stepped in it, how you move out of that spot, and you go to a new spot and you start again, and you leave that behind. And if you put your chin up, you're more approachable. If you put your chin down, you're less approachable. Just a lot of really subtle ways to use your voice, your head, your body, in being able to teach.
Exactly. And how you can hang on to people's attention based on how you move your body and what you do with your body. It's just amazing. It's such a fine art, but it's wonderful to explore and play around with when you actually know how to use it. And of course, when it comes to self-defense, which is part of what I do, is the actual physical self-defense. It also involves, though, emotions and mentality, and that's where trust comes in. Is your body trusting who's in front of you, and how do you move in ways that are going to keep your power and not let this person take the power, try to take the power from you.
Yeah, that's fascinating.
Yeah, which plays into our topic tonight of choice. And so trusting yourself to read the body language or be aware of what's going on so you can make good choices.
Yes, absolutely. And often it's really hard to make the choice you want to make because of our conditioning. We've been conditioned from the time that we're little. A lot of us were conditioned, and some are still being conditioned this way, to not make waves, don't embarrass anybody, don't make them feel bad, always be saying yes and smiling. Because aren't girls supposed to smile? Where's your smile? And I had a guy say that to me one time, and I just glared at him. He's like going, whoa. I'm like, dude, I don't have to smile. I don't have to justify how I feel to you. My choice is this is what I'm feeling right now, and I'm choosing to express that to myself. You happen to look over at me and expected me to smile at you. And I'm not going, you don't even know what's going on with me, and you think I should smile. Why? Because I'm female or what? And he didn't like my choices. I'm like, no, I'm sorry. This is what's going on for me. And being able to choose the right response to somebody who is patronizing, or they're condescending, or they're questioning you, and people, especially women, feeling like we need to justify our choices. We don't have to justify our choices to anybody. And we're almost expected to. Almost like we should. We need to tell them why we were sick, or why we didn't show up, or why we chose not to do this or to do that, or we chose a different thing, and we're constantly trying to justify ourselves. And it just is something that we've been trained to do.
Yeah.
I was with a woman talking to her in a park.
Such an awareness that we have been conditioned in so many ways, and we have the choice to decondition. We can make different choices, absolutely show up differently, be authentic, we can be true to ourselves. But it's that awareness first that, I've been conditioned to do this since I was born,
Exactly.
Because of my ethnicity or my gender, or it's my socioeconomic status, all of those things we've been conditioned. And so that awareness is really important. And then taking the steps to ask ourselves, why am I doing this because I've been conditioned to do it, or is it because it's really me? And then, making that choice to act differently, to show up differently, to think differently.
Exactly. And it takes a lot of work to uncondition. I was with a friend. We were in a parking lot chatting. We hadn't seen each other in a while. And a guy pulled out, and he didn't see her. He didn't see us standing there talking, and he rammed into her car. And we all kind of went, whoa. And so she got out, and the first thing she started saying to him was, oh, I'm sorry, I'm so sorry, I'm sorry. And he's like, well, it's okay, it's okay. It's like, wait a minute. He just hit you, and you're sorry? What the hell?
Mm-hmm.
So she says, okay, then let me get my reg. And she runs around to get her registration in her car, and I peek into the window, and I go, stop saying you're sorry. This wasn't your fault. You don't have anything to be sorry about. And she goes, oh, yeah, it's conditioning. It's conditioning. I'm going, yeah, absolutely. So when we were all done and everything, she said, thank you so much, and thank you for that heads up. That heads up about how I behave and what I'm choosing to say and how I'm choosing to react. It's like trying to make him feel good when he's the one that was the offender. Oh, my God.
Right.
Oh, my God. We have been conditioned. I was conditioned to be a nice girl. I grew up being conditioned. It took a long time for me to uncondition that. But I grew up being a nice girl because we wanted to be white. We wanted to be middle class. We wanted to fit in. We didn't want to be different. We wanted to be accepted as Americans. My parents did because they were both immigrants. And so as kids, we took that on of, oh, you've got to please everybody because that way they'll accept you and that way that you'll be one of them. That was the whole conditioning. And so it made it really, really hard to choose to not have to do that kind of stuff, not to have to make decisions based on who's going to like me and who's not going to like me, who's going to accept me and who's going to reject me. And, it might be that it comes with age. It might be that it comes with age, and I've just decided that I really don't care what somebody thinks if they don't like me. There's 8 billion people on the planet. They're not all going to like me, and that's okay. That's totally okay with me because I ain't going to like a whole bunch of people either. And just being okay with that is really a challenge for so many women. So that's what I teach. That's what I teach is getting over that and being able to make those choices.
Yeah, to trust your own instincts, trust who you are.
Yes, and what really what matters to you, what matters, what's important to you, how do you make those choices to be authentically you and be real and not let other people coerce you, manipulate you, or guilt trip you. And it's a huge one. Guilt tripping is a huge one, and sometimes it comes in really subtle ways. People will guilt trip you in very, very subtle ways. So you have to have your senses about you to process what's really going on here. And I teach all of the women I always teach them to use your breathing. Use your breathing to take in that fresh air. You might need to take in 2 or 3 big, deep breaths to clear and calm yourself, and then get clear about what's really going on here. What is this person really trying to do? What is it that they want? Are they trying to manipulate me to do or go with them? And this is a lot of the things that the perpetrators do, is that they have these ploys that they use, these tricks, these ways of gaining our trust. And once somebody has gained your trust, it's really hard to choose the opposite because you already have given somebody your trust, and that's when you can get into trouble. So it's knowing when to, I trusted this person, but now I don't, and that's okay. That part has to be okay, that you're changing your mind. And a lot of women don't understand that. You have a right to change your mind. And you don't have to justify changing your mind. You're choosing to do something else. You're choosing to go a different way. You're choosing to say something different. And there is no justification is necessary. And too many women think that they need to justify why they've chosen something different. And I tell them, no, you don't need to. You don't need to justify to anybody. If they don't like your answer, they can go see a therapist because it's not your problem.
Yeah, I think it takes a lot of courage to get to that point where you trust yourself. And then I think, there's also a place for compassion when you're trusting yourself. And when someone is not trustworthy, it's okay to let them go, but at the same time, authentically compassion is my essential nature. And so I'm going to say, I'm going to end the relationship or have specific boundaries around that person because I don't trust them. But at the same time, I'm going to be myself, and I'm going to, have compassion, and kindness is the way I'm going to lead. But it doesn't mean that I have to conform to their expectations. I'm going to live in my intentions of trusting myself, and listening to my intuition and being very aware and observant and attentive so that other people aren't crossing my boundaries or, trying to manipulate me or whatever it is. I'm going to trust my instincts. I'm going to trust myself, but I'm still going to trust the process of being compassionate, So I think there's a lot of layers to trusting other, for me, and I mean, I'm a God girl, so I trust God first, and then I'm going to trust myself, and then I'll reach out to trust others. But others are going to have, there's going to have to be that relationship that I feel I can trust them. And if it ends up they're not trustworthy, then I'm going to set boundaries, and they're going to be no longer in a position to influence me,
Yes, I think that compassion gets in the way of a lot of people's choices, because if you're thinking, I should be compassionate because isn't that the right thing to do? Isn't that the right spiritual thing to do, is to have compassion? And yes, it is. However, compassion isn't an open door to allowing someone to do whatever they want to do. Like you said, you set your boundaries. I got compassion, however, it stops right here. It doesn't mean I hate you. I still have compassion for you. You have a process you just need to go through before we continue with our relationship. Or you have a process to go through before we continue the conversation, or whatever it is.
Yeah. And it's like everybody has, I'm a word crafter, and compassion means some things to some people and some things to other people. For me, it's that what compassion means to me may not mean the same thing to others. And there's a lot of synonyms for compassion. And does compassion engage in empathy? Is it love? Is it forgiveness? I mean, there's just so much to compassion. But I think when we set those boundaries and we trust ourselves and trust our instincts to know when a situation is toxic or not, the compassion is for ourselves, and the compassion is for how we take up space. And so there's a lot of nuances, a lot of layers to being able to let go of relationships because people aren't trustworthy. And for me, I want to help them understand to be more trustworthy, So I want that relationship for them to walk away better at having, being trustworthy. I mean, some people there are conditions in our society where people are narcissistic, or there are things that are more of a mental issue, an emotional issue that people are going through, and that you really want to stay away from that. The boundaries need to be really clear. But most people are willing to learn to be more trustworthy when you have to let them go. They say, well, why didn't that work out? Well, that's because I wasn't trustworthy. I didn't follow through. I didn't keep my word. I didn't, so that people can walk away from the relationship maybe with some introspection, some reflection about why that didn't work out as well.
Yes, compassion can be very confusing for so many people just for those very reasons, that you want to be compassionate of people, but yet if somebody is hurting you, then the compassionate thing to do is let them go, because you have that compassion for yourself, and you have to let them go because they aren't ready to be at the same level as you with relationship. So instead of feeling guilty that you're ending it or you don't want to be in the relationship anymore, we need to continually remind ourselves, this is who I am, and these are my boundaries, these are my ethics, these are my morals. And when you have a narcissistic person who's in your circle, you've got to be extremely careful with that.
Yep.
And really let them go. You've got to let narcissistic people go because they will continually manipulate and try to use you.
Yeah.
Until they change that behavior, they're not going to change that with you just because you're compassionate or because you have these particular morals and ethics that you live by. They're not going to just suddenly go, oh, yeah, okay, there's Terry, and Terry likes to do things like this, so I'm just going to change my whole personality and be someone different from Terry. They're not going to do that. They are who they are, and their narcissism comes out. Sometimes if they're overt, you see it right away. Everybody can see it. When they're covert, that's when it gets really tricky. When somebody is a covert narcissistic person, because they're hiding what they're truly trying to do and where they're truly trying to go with whatever they're manipulating you with. And it's hard to tell. Sometimes it's really hard to tell because they're so kind. They're so gentle. They're so nice. They say the right words. And then you realize, oh, it was all just their way of getting what they want. Mm-hmm. And so it's really up to us to be able to choose who is in our lives and for what reason they're in our lives. Are they here to teach us a lesson and then we got to let them go? Did we already get the lesson? Or are we teaching them a lesson by letting them go? Mm-hmm. So it's very it can be very nuanced in lots of different ways. For the people that I work with, I help them to find their truth. I'm always about feel your body and what is the truth in your body. What do you feel? And go with that. That is what you should base your decisions on and your choices on, is what truth is in your body. And it always will boil down to back down to that is when you're standing in your center and you're alone and you're processing and you're thinking, what comes up? All the things that come up, that is your truth. Everything you're feeling, everything you're sensing. And why didn't I say this? Oh, I should have said that. Because that in the moment you were being manipulated, or that whole conditioning was coming in of being kind, being nice to everybody. You don't want to make them wrong. You don't want to embarrass them. All the blah, 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 blah that we play over and over and over and over and over in our head.
Yeah.
Yeah. What is one thing that you would suggest to someone who is starting the process of trusting themselves and making decisions based on their truth?
For the women, that train with me, a lot of times it comes from the physical training of self-defense training, what they're doing with their bodies. Their bodies start to wake up. Their bodies start to find their power and their truth. For somebody who isn't training with me, who just would like to start by themselves, just to start somewhere, is when somebody says something to you and you don't have an answer, take a deep breath. And it is okay to say, give me a second here. Comfortable with the silence. Be comfortable with the silence in the moment. We are very uncomfortable with silence. Our society is. So take a deep breath and get comfortable with that silence. Feel what's going on in your body and then respond. You might not get it right all the time. You might not get where you want to be every single time, but the more you practice that, the more it's going to come for you. The more chances you're going to have of being able to speak that truth. Because you took that big, deep breath.
Yep.
That helps to calm your brain, that calms your emotions, and that gets you back to your center. What is meditation all about? Breathing.
Yeah.
Breathing. I think the one gift everybody was given at birth? Breath. Yeah. It's a free gift. Okay? We can't live without it.
Being comfortable with the pause. The pause. What happens in the pause is probably one of the best ways to be true to yourself. Is just in that pause. Take that breath and connect with your center And I think there's so much. There's a lot of teaching right now in transformational and body work and breath work that really makes that pause very, very powerful. The powerful pause, I guess, taking that moment. And that's one of the things that when I'm working in leadership with groups is part of a norm that can really affect your capacity to lead and to be to communicate and with people. It's that pause and just be with it. Be in that space of silence. And the more you teach that in your communication processes as a leader, that's good. That's a safe place to be. It's an important place to be. It empowers you to connect with yourself and then connect with others is by taking that deep breath and that pause and just can eliminate that contention that often comes when you're in a leadership position and you're trying to make decisions and choices, is to really value that pause and how it focus, focus the whole station.
Another good exercise to do is it's got to be somebody you trust, but sit there, both of you take a deep breath, stand right in front of you, squared up, so it's a confrontational, squared up, and look at each other in the eyes with no words, no talking. Just look at each other in the eyes and feel the energy and calm yourself as you're looking in the other person's eyes. Calm yourself, and you will find the compassion for the other person.
Yep.
And it's just
we do that exercise. We do that a lot in our workshop.
Yeah.
Because then when you're looking into someone's eyes. Go ahead, Kelly.
Yes.
Okay, ladies. All great stuff. I love everything that you've been sharing, but we're out of time. So I want to give Clara a chance to share her contact information.
All right, thank you. And I knew that's what you were trying to tell us, that we were going over time here. You can reach me at minorson.com, and that's minor like in a major or a minor, MINOR, S as in Sam, A as in Apple, N as in Nancy. Minorson.com is my website, and all my contact information is on the contact page, and I'd be happy to have a conversation with anybody about anything that we talked about today.
Awesome.
Complimentary.
Thank you so much for being here.
You're so welcome, and thank you for inviting me again. I really was looking forward to this. I'm so glad that we made it happen.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, we want to remind you all that the 12 Steps to Freedom were created by Rhonda Britton, the CEO and founder of the Fearless Living Institute. If you would like to know more about Fearless Living, please go check it out at fearlessliving.org. You can find everything about Terry and I at fearlessgenerations.org, including our monthly free workshop that we do every fourth Saturday of the month, which is coming up this Saturday. If you are listening before Saturday, come on over and sign up. And it goes from 10 to 11:30 Pacific time. We'd love to have you there. We talk all about fear and how to recognize it so that you can move past it. Also, you can find out details about our upcoming in-person retreat in the foothills of the Sierras here in California. We'd love to have you join us there, which we talk all about the 12 Steps to Freedom, and it is an amazing, amazing workshop that we've turned into a 4-day retreat. So go check that out as well. And thank you so much for coming each week and listening to us, and share us with your friends. Let us know if there's anything that you would like to know, a tool or whatever comes to mind. Please go and find us on social media and message us. We are everywhere under Fearless Generations. Okay, thank you so much, everybody. Thank you, Terry. Thank you, Clara. And we will see you next time. Be fearless.
Good night.
Good night.
Hello, it is Ryan, and I was on a flight the other day playing one of my favorite social spin slot games on ChumbaCasino.com. I looked over at the person sitting next to me, and you know what they were doing? They were also playing Chumba Casino. Everybody's loving having fun with it. Chumba Casino is home to hundreds of casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com to claim your free welcome bonus. That's ChumbaCasino.com and live the Chumba life.
Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus. Terms and conditions apply.